the thing with pharmaceutical diuretics, the way they're sometimes used, I mean, sometimes people, like an old school way is to start aldactone like the Monday before a show
Yeah.
and load that, and you create massive rebounds in that way, for many, many people. And I think my guess is that you can create some renal stress that can accumulate over time. Because it's pretty abnormal for someone to have disturbed water homeostasis for days and days and days
Right.
after taking some pharmaceutical diuretics. So I'm guessing that there's something going on there. So that's sort of a medical reason that just makes me want to shy away from them. But I'm not particularly happy about seeing people with cankles and low back pumps they can't get rid of and those sorts of things. It's funny because I've had a few clients that the people that have it's not worked for. I had one client who'd been prescribed Lasix for high blood pressure for years.
Yeah.
And my system would not work with him because I think his kidneys just didn't function properly anymore. They'd been slowly degraded to some degree in some way from that. So that's part of it. The other is if you want to do multiple shows, well, before even that, if you want to practice your protocol, because of that lagging imbalance in water homeostasis, what you do during a practice run is not going to be what you can do like the next week. You can't do a practice run 1 week out and expect that you can replicate what you did then because your water homeostasis is still disturbed and you respond differently to those pharmaceutical diuretics. So it's a juggling act.
Sure.
And what that means for a lot of people who stress a lot the week before the show is that they're stressing because they're trying to figure out what to take. And this is why so many people will miss their peak. Because they're stressing out, and the cortisol and the stress will create an issue, and that's different than what they had the week before. And then they're trying to juggle that with more pharmaceutical diuretics. A lot of times people use too much. I mean, really the thing that's gotten sorry, I lost your picture there. I want to make sure we're still on.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. I'm just not seeing your face. I think you're still recording. There we are. Guys like Paul Dillett, was taken off stage. I've seen this a few times in amateur shows. Guys have medical issues from the using of pharmaceutical diuretics. And it's something, I mean, there was a guy who actually has passed now from something unrelated, but, and I have another friend who, these two guys, both of whom I know, one I know personally, I've hung out with him in person, and the other guy was a good friend of his. Like they both have had to rescue one another from pharmaceutical diuretic use at shows. Like literally, I feel kind of bad. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and they sit down on the toilet and the hip flexors cramp, and then they try to stand up and their legs cramp, and they sit back down and their abs cramp, and next thing you know, their whole body is cramping.
Yeah.
They can't even get up to move to get something. So they have to get them, a Pedialyte, electrolyte formula replacement or something of that nature.
Right.
So you can really cause some, acute medical issues with the pharmaceutical diuretics.
Yeah.
So you can't practice things as well. You've left yourself basically with the juggling act issue, and the stress on top of that. So those are the reasons why I don't like using it. But with the way I've done this, you can actually peak. I've had people do it who tend to stress out a lot, 5 or 6 times during the course of a peak week, course of a prep.
Prep, yeah.
Because they might be in really good shape. One guy was in really good shape like 2 months out. It's really, really close. So, let's just see what you look like. And I knew he tended to stress.
Yeah.
So he did a peak week, and then he dieted for a couple of weeks and did another one. And the way I do this, the way I structure it, almost universally, everyone takes kind of a quantum leap forward in terms of conditioning. That sounds kind of like a plug, but it really is. I've done this hundreds of times now. It really works that way. So it's not like you're losing time by doing a practice peak week, but you're gaining confidence and you're refining what you're going to do. So, like, for instance, part of the peak week, the way I've set it out to ensure that you're glycogen loaded is and this is you know him, of course. This is a term I stole from Ken Hill, Skip.
Yeah.
Fill and spill. So you carve up until you start to spill over. And then you know that you've got a really good idea, at least, that you've maximized your glycogen stores. But then you have cleanup. So that would be on Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday you drop the water. So a lot of times, if someone had never done this before, they'd be like, oh my God, I'm spilling over. Like the show's 2 days away. I'm going to look like crap. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
But if they practiced that, let's say they'd done it and they refined it over the years, refining things, practicing things, or they practiced, let's say, twice in the course of a prep, or even just once, they're like, God, Thursday night I thought I was going to look like crap, and I looked awesome. I was full and dry on Saturday morning. So when the show comes around, they're like, I know this. I've already been there. I've already walked this path.
Right.
I spilled. I don't care. I know I'm going to dry out. I just got to connect the dots and follow the protocol. I don't have to think, well, should I take half a diazide or a whole diazide, and should I take another one this morning, and blah blah blah. All the other things that go into that. You just follow the protocol.
Right.
Whatever refinements you come up with, and I have that in the book as to how to change things.
Yeah.
And then you can do it the next week if you want to compete multiple times. There was someone, I'm not going to say the person's name. She was a bikini competitor that I bumped into at the Olympia, and her coach was having her. She was doing like 8 shows this year, and I'm not going to spill any of the details, but she's a perfect person for whom a protocol like this works. She just wanted to dry out a little bit. She didn't do anything extreme. Definitely didn't want to have to use diuretics because they would make her feel like shit.
Right.
And she can do show after show after show. If you're trying to, like in that case, gather points for an Olympia qualification, or let's say you're trying to get nationally qualified so you can go and do nationals or USAs, and you're in a division like that, where you want to try to optimize your look with a peak week, you can do that again and again and again. The big caveat there, and people might be saying, like, do you even need a peak week? You don't need a peak week.
Yeah.
At all. For many, many cases. If you're absolutely in shape, then you shouldn't have to do a whole heck of a lot. Maybe drop your water the night before or something like that. But as it turns out, it's one of those things, people want to do something. Sometimes it's just like, I could almost say, all right, so Tuesday, when you wake up, I want you to recite the alphabet backwards 5 times. Okay? And that's going to turn on the anti-diuretic hormone, and you could make, as long as they have something to do to occupy their mind, it wouldn't matter. So this is something that actually makes physiological sense. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a cool little puzzle for a lot of people.
Right.
And it occupies them. So it's better than just waiting for the impending show, which is stressful in a lot of cases.